When students stop and think about networking, they go, their first question is always, like, how do I not seem pushy? How do I? So, any suggestions? AJ.
I mean, reach out. I'm terrible at responding to emails. I once responded to an apprentice who reached out for coffee once 8 months later and found it at the bottom of my inbox and was like, whoops, sorry, still want to grab coffee? And she did, and like we had a great coffee, great chat. She was then nearing the end of her apprenticeship. But it was a great opportunity to connect, and she actually connected me with a few more apprentices, some that I recommended to other people. But she was totally just really excited that I finally got back to her. But just knowing that sometimes people are busy, may not respond right away, do a follow-up if they don't respond.
As a production manager, the resumes that jumped out, I wanted follow-up from those people. Yeah. I wanted the phone. This is pre-computer. I wanted pre-email. I wanted the phone calls. I wanted another letter. I wanted those people to show me that they were really, really interested. Because if not, you're going to get blanket. You're going to get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of resumes. So you want that person to jump out at the top. And to make that person jump out, you have to go make that a second, third, fourth effort sometimes. Yeah. To say, hey, do you remember me? Yep. Yeah. Okay, let's talk. And then to be outstanding enough to show me that you really want that job. What is it about that job you want? Is it the people? Is it the show? Is it just the job? I want to hear from you.
But Di, you were talking about networking, and I mean, what Annie's saying is so true, but networking is different. Networking is connecting with people, but it's not about being pushy. It's about sharing your love of the theater, or your love of lighting, or your love of dance, or your experience in the theater. It's about making a connection with people. And that is so important. I mean, and that is one thing that hasn't changed in the 40 years I've been in the business. It's about people, and as AJ says, it's you hear a name, you meet someone. It's how I got my first musical experience. I was stage managing a tiny show in Toronto at Theatre Plus, and we were rehearsing at the Tarragon Studios. We went on a break, and into the room walked a lady I didn't know, Pat Thomas, who was doing equity negotiations in an adjoining room. And she just dropped in to say hello and meet us. And I chatted with her for the 15 minutes of the coffee break, and I had to call the rehearsal back. 8 months later, I get a phone call from her. I would like you to come and stage manage Cats.
If I'm an apprentice looking for an apprentice stage management job, how do I improve the chances of getting the interview? And once in the interview, how do I improve the chances of getting that job?
I always say your resume is the most important, that is the first piece of paperwork I receive from you. And so your ability to present me information in a clear and understandable way, I mean, is the core of what we do. So your resume is your first chance to present me information in a clear and understandable way, and everyone has different preferences of how they like it laid out, but basically I want a clean, clear resume in front of me, and
no spelling errors.
No spelling errors, like a nice layout where I can understand where you've worked, what you've done, who you've worked with. I'm always for a nice table. And so it's just I will literally pass or fail apprentices, or not call apprentices. It's that resume needs too much work, therefore that apprentice will need too much work.
I sometimes call people who aren't on the
Yeah.
reference list. I look at what they've done and call somebody else.
Yeah, I do that more, like if you've worked with stage managers, I always want the stage manager on the resume, because I do the same, like references, yes, if they don't have anyone on their list that I know, but if they've worked with someone I know, I just go to that person. So beware of all of the other names you're putting on there, because even if, you know, John is not listed on your list of references, but you've worked with John, I'm calling John and asking, what was your experience?
I also think because our job is such a people person job, and also in stage managing, we're a team, and we all have to work together on that team. I find like I really like to know like who that apprentice is as a person. You know, like I really value when apprentices put forward their honest selves and say, you know, like, this is me, this is what I'm interested in, and this is why I want this job, and this is what I want out of this job. That's something that I really value is just being an honest, authentic expression of who you are.
And we're looking for people who are interested and keen to learn and who can listen. Not people who think they know a lot and are going to occupy a large space.
Yeah, and I value a shorter cover letter over a longer cover letter. I don't want to read an essay on why you should be a stage manager. Like 3 small paragraphs. This is who I am, this is where I went, this is why I want to work on this show. I don't need you to explain to me why, like what a stage manager does. I got it.
If I'm in an interview with you, how do I increase my chances of being hired by you if I'm a young technician?
I'm also looking at work ethic. When I'm hiring someone, when I make that phone call, I want to know what kind of person is coming to play with me. I call those references, I call those stage managers, I call those PSMs saying, okay, how was Henrietta in the show? Tell me about him or her. And I want to know that they're going to be dedicated to do the job because our hours are so long. We have to be able to have that stamina to go and make that extra effort that's going to make a big difference on the next day of rehearsal or backstage.
Just a quick note on that. If I can, I really try and like to find out who it is that's going to be interviewing me, whether it's the production manager or if it's going to be the artistic director, just where they are in the company. If they're more, I've had an interview where they want to know everything you know about tech theater to see if you can kind of be able to adapt and be able to know what's going on. And then I've also been in an interview where they want to know what you know about their company and why you want to work with their company. So I think really adapting to who's interviewing you. So
I really appreciate when they have questions for me. You know, it really shows me that they've taken the time to research the company, research the show, think about what the experience could be like, and they're asking questions and invested in what the experience could be like for them too.
But the interview comes down to a personal relationship, and it all comes back to what Brad was saying. And it's about establishing some kind of shared connection with the interviewer. There's no guarantee that will lead you the job. But if you don't get that, you won't get the job because somebody will connect. And part of it is listening, is not go in with a whole agenda that you are keen to share with the interviewer. It's about listening to the questions and trying to answer them honestly in a way that they are asked, you know? And so it's establishing a connection with the person who is doing the interview.